I hope you can hear me. Hello, everyone. My name is Reena Nathani. I am from Ahmedabad, and I am business teacher. I take business in Cambridge ASNE levels, and I take business management in IB diploma. Along with that, I am an IB diploma business management examiner as well, and I am also in IBCP program. So I take IB diploma, IB career related program as well. So today I will be focusing on business AS level, and the code is 960912 and 22. And the name of my topic is, though I forgot to say that I am representing here Victory IB and CAI Online Academy, and it is created by Victory Online Academy, and this is the website that you could see. My topic today is stakeholders in a business. Okay. Now, before going for the hardcore content, I would want you people to be aware that this is what exactly, as per the AS level syllabus, Cambridge AS level syllabus, it says that 1.5, that is a part of unit 1, that is stakeholders in a business. So under this, you will be studying business stakeholders. Who are the business stakeholders? The individuals or the groups are interested in the activities of the business. So these are the examples: the owners, the shareholders, managers, employees, customers, suppliers, lenders, government, and the local community. And what are the roles and responsibilities of these stakeholders? We'll be studying it at different levels. We will also be focusing on the importance and influence of stakeholders on business activity. So that means the impact of business decision or action on the stakeholders and their reactions, how and why the business needs to be accountable to these stakeholders, and if at all there is a conflict arise amongst stakeholders because of the different aims, then how business should focus to handle that and with the changing objectives. Okay, so the learning objective in this particular topic would be: number one, what is meant by stakeholder? What do you mean by that? Number two, analyze and comment on the roles, rights, and responsibilities of the key business stakeholders. We are going to focus on the key business stakeholders today. Then the students will also be learning how to demonstrate an awareness of how and why a business might consider stakeholder interest in the decision making, because business takes a lot of decisions, operational, tactical, and strategic in nature. So the business also needs to consider the interest of the stakeholder, but there are many factors behind it that we'll be doing in our coming up video. And evaluate the ways in which conflicting stakeholders' objective might be recognized and responded to by the business. All right. Now, coming to the content, who is a stakeholder? Okay. Now, you can see the word is divided into two parts, which is stake and holder. So, stakeholders are the individuals or the organization, or I would say the group of people which have a direct or indirect interest. Stake means interest. Okay, so that's why the word has come, which is interest holder in the activities and the performance of the business. All the people, all the group of organization, individual or the group of organization who are interested in running of the business directly or indirectly are known as stakeholders. Right? So there are that can be categorized into two, which is internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So we'll take one by one: managers, employees, and the owners. These are the stakeholders which are working within the premise of the organization. I would say that they are directly affected, interested in running of the business. So we will be focusing on each and every stakeholder with their roles, responsibilities, and the rights that they have. For example, you can see a manager here. So manager, basically what is the responsibility of the manager is to achieve the organizational objectives, the goals, to motivate people, to set that environment so that people are dedicated towards achievement of the goal. And in return, the managers look forward for a better pay, a growth opportunity where the managers can also grow in an organization. Though they are also considered to be the employees, but they are at the strategic level involved in the long-term decision making. Now, the next stakeholder you can see is employees. So employees are the people who are working for the organization so that at the ground level, the work, the organizational objective is achieved because of the employees. So what are the responsibilities of the employees? It's very obvious that the employees should be honest, should be dedicated, should be committed towards the task given to them so that the overall organizational objectives can be achieved. And in return, the business expect employees to be fair, and the employees expect the business to be fair to them, to pay them well, and to treat them well. Okay. So these are, and then the third one is the owners. The owners, as you can see, he or she is the one who is the person responsible for investing and taking the financial risk, which is calculated risk. So this person, the owners are responsible to be fair to different stakeholders that we will be studying in the coming session. And the most important thing that the owners are looking for is to get the returns, generally in terms of profit, growth, to be the market leader, to maximize the returns to his shareholders as well. Okay. The way we have internal stakeholders, similarly we have external stakeholders as well. So external means which are outside the business organization. So we have the government, we have the shareholders, we have the community or the society, we have creditors, we have customers, and we have suppliers. Now the government are huge bodies which are expected. Responsibility of the government towards a business is to prevent the unfair trade practices by not encouraging the monopoly, by having, by encourage the competitive trade practices in the economy so that the whole economy is flourishing and the normal people are not getting exploited. And in return, the government look for the tax, the duties, and the excise, the income tax which we pay, normal people as well as the businesses pay, which is the corporate tax to the government. Now the shareholders. Now shareholders is a very interesting term here where there are a lot of people who get confused between shareholders and stakeholders. Now shareholders are one of the stakeholders. This is basically applicable for a company form of business, basically public limited companies. So they are investors who are interested in investing their money, investing some amount of their money in the capital of the business. So they contribute towards the share capital. So they have a share in the company. So that's why they are known as the shareholders. So they are the real investors. They take the risk. If the company doesn't perform well, then that losses is also to be borne by the equity shareholders. Now in return, shareholders expect the returns, that is the dividend, and the long-term return from the company. Now the next stakeholders you can see is the supplier. So suppliers as the one who from where the business gets raw materials or the work in progress for the production or the sale purposes, for the trader, the people, businesses which are there in trading only, they buy and sell it. So suppliers are looking forward for getting the bulk orders. They expect that they should be getting the bulk orders and the payment on time, but they are expected to supply goods and the qualitative goods on time, because at that point in time the business becomes the customer for the suppliers. Okay. Then we have the society or the community. So what exactly is the community is expected to do is to cooperate. That if business is trying to enter in a particular locality, then it is expected that community should support that business so that brings variety of goods and services, a lot of employment opportunity, and a lot of self-dependent and a growth in the economy as a whole for that particular area. And the society is expected that society should be consulted before business takes any decision. So if a business is planning to open maybe an industry in a particular area, so of course the pollution is a major issue that community would be asking for. So it is the responsibility of the business to discuss with the community that in case if it is pollution that the business might create, it is going to be in a particular limit because they have pollution permit for that. But at the same time, the business will take up the responsibility of providing the employment opportunities, the better services to the people who are living around, and the basic necessities. I would say the merit goods would be given to the community in terms of water, construction of the roads, education of the children in that say as well. So overall, that area would develop. Then we have creditors. So creditors are the one who are, in a simple language, if I have to say, are the money lenders. They are the one who provide finance or money to the business, because without finance, without money, the business can't even think of existing. So the creditors are expected to the creditors are expected to provide the loans, to provide the suppliers on time in case if they are buying from credit to them, then they are expected to provide the either the money, the loan amount, or goods transported on time. Insurance to be done by the creditors as well, and in return, the creditors are expected to be paid fairly, on time, and somehow creditors also expect from the business that they should be getting regular orders from their customers, that is from the business in our case. And last but not the least, the very important stakeholder is a customer or a consumer in that case, because eventually the business is existing to put in maximum effort to satisfy this particular stakeholder. So customers are the one who are expected to be honest, don't expect the false claim of the goods or services that they have purchased from the business. Like for example, you can see nowadays a lot of online purchases happening. In that case, people do have false claims from the company saying that I need my money back, or refund policy, return policy. If it is fair, if it is genuine, of course, it is a responsibility of the business to provide those return and refund policy, along with the providing the goods and services, better quality, and the fair prices should be charged. The prices should be justified on what basis the business is charging that. But the customers also is responsible for not putting any false claim from the business. So on the basis of this, we can have a sum up of the stakeholders as divided. Like it's a company, but you can talk about any kind of business. So these are the various internal and external stakeholders, which play a very, very, very important role, because eventually the stakeholders are directly or indirectly are related in existing of the business. Number two, business is existing because of these stakeholders, directly or indirectly. So if the stakeholders doesn't exist, then business to whom the business would sell. For example, the customers, if they don't exist, then whom the business is going to sell. If the creditors are not available, then from where the business would buy. If employees are not existing, then from whom the work would be done. If the society is not existing or the government is not existing in that case, then from where the company is going to get permission to start the business and to pay taxes, so that giving back something to the society as well. Okay. So I just have a very, I was just looking at this particular case study, a very interesting case study, which is a Skoda automobile business. I'm sure we people must have heard about this particular brand. This is Skoda Automobile. So there is a very small situation I would like to read here. Now, Skoda Auto, founded in 1895, Skoda Auto is one of the oldest automobile manufacturers in the world. In the early 2007, the Czech company, which became part of Volkswagen Group in 2000, entered China as a part of its growth strategy. Okay, so you can make out that there is a company which entered in the Chinese market to grow and acquire that particular market. However, in the same year, its workforce in Europe went on strike over concern regarding pay and benefits. So this is very obvious that somehow the company was unable to be fair to its workers, and the workers were not probably paid well, or the other fringe benefits, like for example the holidays, the what do you say in that case, the insurance, the mediclaim opportunities, or the gratuity in that case that they deserve was not paid by the company. So it was reported that industrial action cost Skoda, the country's largest exporter, 60 million crowns, which comes down to $2.9 million per day. That's big money in lost output. Now, let me tell a little bit about what exactly is industrial action. Industrial action is basically some kind of rebellion approach which one of the stakeholders, generally the workers, take against of that firm because of certain responsibilities not fulfilled by the company. So here it is very obvious that the company was not giving that fair pay to its people and the benefits that people expect. And because of that, that was a kind of rebellion approach, an industrial action that was taken by the workforce against the company of going for a strike. So if there's a strike, of course, the people are not available at the workplace. So that means that the production as well as the export, that means the distribution of the cars, were not happening at that point in time. So that, as you can see, the amount is really huge. It's $2.9 million per day. They were unable to make it. So nevertheless, China became Skoda's main market. So this is what the area where they were actually trying to export it. And by 2013, the company had produced its 1 million car in China. So company was able to recover that particular situation. Now in this particular case study, if you look at, let's categorize this particular situation into internal and external stakeholder. Who would be the internal stakeholder of this particular business? Now here, one of the internal stakeholder would be Volkswagen here. It's very, very obvious, which is basically the shareholders, which because it is a part of that. So that means they have invested in the company. So they are investing in the capital of the company. So the moment you invest in the capital of the company, you become the shareholder or an owner of that particular company. So they are the one who are in, Volkswagen Group is the one who is the internal stakeholder who is definitely interested in a very good return from the company. But in the beginning, like you can see that because of a lot of loss in terms of monetary terms as well as in terms of output of production as well, the internal stakeholder really suffered. Then another stakeholder, which is internal stakeholder, which you can see very obvious, is the workforce, the people who are working for Skoda company. So because they are the one who are not very happy with the situation, so they went for the strike. So somehow they were not very happy with the business decision. And then, of course, Skoda as an owner, the parent company, the actual owner who has started with, the founder which has started with this concept of bringing manufacturing and bringing these cars in the market. Now coming to the external stakeholder. Who are the external stakeholder here? So here it's again, it's not directly said, but then of course as one of the country is mentioned here, which is China as well as Europe. So the government of this company, because somehow government would also be interested in providing the employment opportunities and the basic necessity which every employee look for in the economy. So here the government is considered to be an external stakeholder, which is expecting the tax to be paid by the company because the company is bearing a lot of losses. So company will not be able to pay taxes to the government as a corporate tax pay because of the loss that the company is facing. So that has somehow affected the government as well. Then you can see the competition. Now here not direct competition is being specified here, but definitely the competitors which are existing against Skoda. So there are many competitors, like you can see Benz, or you can also talk about the Honda cars as well. So they are the one who are competitor. They got a lot of benefit because of that in the beginning, because the Skoda was unable to produce these many cars and they were having too many losses. They took the advantage of making more cars and installing on cars or commercializing their cars more on the market, because the demand was existing. There's nothing as such given, but that's what it's very obvious that you can see it. And the local community definitely is one of the stakeholders, which you can see indirectly got affected because of the people not getting paid, people not getting basic necessities, people are getting affected, so overall community is getting affected. And along with that, if the company is unable to produce these many cars, so that cars and the availability of those cars and the other things which are required for the manufacturing of these cars are also not available, which overall affected the local community as well. So they are also the one which are external stakeholder which got affected. Now, there's always a situation which the government has, which the company has, that, there's always a conflict. There's always a conflict. Now, which stakeholder to satisfy? Because practically, it's not possible for any business to satisfy every stakeholder. Now, company has to choose which particular stakeholder is important. For example, in the previous Skoda's case, you can see that there was a conflict between the employees and the employers, because employer was trying to probably reduce his cost by not paying much to his employees. So employer was giving more preference to his profit maximization. On the contrary, employees were majorly looking for the pay, which they were not getting it. So because of that, there was a conflict. So here probably employers were at the benefit, but not the employees. Another conflict you could see here is the government as well, because employees and the government, I would say, two stakeholders can be considered here. That the government is unable to have these many outputs to be produced in its own economy, which is overall affecting the economy, because that's a big brand in the company in that market. And the employees were also not paid. So it's like not a good idea to not make government and employees satisfied or happy. So now in this particular case, what the business should do to make almost every stakeholder happy and satisfied? Now that's a $1,000,000 question. So we have got a very, very, very interesting tool, which is, I personally feel it's a magical tool, which actually make a business go very smooth and almost will be able to achieve its objective. So there's something called stakeholder mapping, right? So stakeholder mapping is a kind of matrix which talks about how do you categorize your different stakeholder into different categories based on the level of power that they have and the level of interest that they have. Okay, so when we can see the matrix A, if you can see the category A here, the A says that the level of power and the level of interest, the stakeholder which has a lowest level of power and the lowest level of interest, the business should apply minimum effort to satisfy that particular stakeholder. If you look at the category B, the stakeholder in this particular category, the stakeholder which comes here is like the one who have the highest level of interest but doesn't have much of power to do much. The business should definitely keep that stakeholder informed about what all is going on in the business, in the company. Okay, so here and in the category C, if you can see, here the level of interest is low, but the level of power, the stakeholder is very, very, very powerful. So company should definitely apply its energy to satisfy that particular stakeholder. Then the last one, which is D, you can see, is the one which has highest level of interest and highest level of power in the business. So the business should apply maximum effort to keep this particular stakeholder happy. Okay, so let's take again Skoda's example. So who would be our A stakeholder? So looking at the situation, I would say that local community here does not have much of the interest, because there was no much information given about local community, and does not have power for a business like Skoda, which is a big shot in the market. So company can have minimum effort to keep the local community satisfied and happy. Going to B, if you look at this one. So B is the area which I think the competitors would come in, where the company can keep on promoting what exactly the strategy that business is going ahead to go ahead with the production output, so that the business doesn't have to do much, only just to inform the competitors of Skoda here. When you look at the category C here, it says the power is very, very high, but the interest level is very low. So here you could say here probably the Volkswagen or maybe the government in that case. So business should definitely keep them satisfied. Even the Skoda should have shown a lot of effort to make Volkswagen very satisfied, because if they are satisfied, they are going to remain a major contributor towards Skoda's investment. If you look at the category D, now this is a particular area where the stakeholder has maximum interest as well as a maximum power. They can do a lot for the company. So in that particular situation, the shareholders and the employees should be the one could be categorized as option D. So then the Skoda should put in the maximum effort to keep this particular stakeholder satisfied. So my dear students, my dear young adults, whenever you will be looking forward for running your own business or maybe taking a position in any of the business, where you have to decide how to make almost every stakeholder happy, because that's very, very, very difficult. So you can follow the stakeholders mapping, saying that who you have to identify, you have to be smart enough to identify who has what level of interest and who has what level of power. The more the interest and the more the power, the business should be putting in the maximum effort to satisfy that customer. On the contrary, the one who has the least interest and the least power in the existence of the business should be should be allowed to give minimum effort, so that the energies can be channelized, or the investment or the resources or the finance can be channelized towards D as an area, then C, then B, and then A. The most important thing that you have to understand here is which stakeholder would be categorized where. That's a very, very, very smart move that the person one who is responsible for categorizing it is considering. Suppose if someone who is a D is being categorized as C, then it's not a good idea. Or maybe a D is categorized as a B, then of course not a good idea, because where you have to put in the maximum effort, in our case, which is shareholders, the business cannot afford to only inform the shareholders. In that case, shareholders might withdraw their investment, they might not continue their investment, they might not prefer investing in the company. Okay? So, yes, there now, because this is an AS level area, so I would definitely give you a situation which is an AS level paper 1 exam style question. What exactly it says? This is a situation here. It says G and A Clothing plans to develop a new factory near Parkland and a school. The factory will produce high quality clothing using the latest technology at prices not higher than clothing is currently sold for. That means at a competitive price. Okay? So this is a situation based on that, the kind of question which is being asked in AS level is like, for example, this question can be considered for an 8 or a 12 marker. So examine the possible conflicts between the stakeholder groups as a result of this decision. Now, if you're looking at this particular situation, you can identify which stakeholders can be considered where there is a conflict. First and foremost thing, you have to understand what are their rights, what are they looking for. For example, it's very obvious, like G and A are the owners. So a quick tip to use, like if the owners are coming up with that, and if it is near to school, so local community. Okay. So, and if there is a competitors, because it's again a nearby area, so I mean it is charging the prices which is almost very similar to what competitors are charging. So your competitors and your customers. So you understand that. So it says that basically the owner and the community, or another stakeholder conflict could be the customers and the competitors. So how exactly, which stakeholder, or maybe in that case even the government as well you can talk about, or maybe the employees in that case as you can talk about, right? Because it talks about the high quality clothing. So of course you require experienced and skilled people to work for you. If they are the experienced and skilled people, they might be charging more. And if you are charging prices which are very competitive, how will you cover your costs and how will you maximize profit? So if this kind of question comes for an 8 marker, it is expected to at least identify 2 conflicts. As I said, maybe you can say the owner or the community, one conflict area. Another stakeholder conflict could be the employees or the local, the government, or maybe the competitors, you can say. And what is the conflict? How do you explain? It should be completely applicable for the clothing business and the advantage and disadvantage of having this kind of conflict to the business. Okay, so there are 3 paragraphs that are expected to write in this kind of answer. Let's see how, in case if anyone would like to try this answer, you can definitely try out this answer. You can try to answer this question, which is a AS level type, and you can post your answer on the comment box, and then we can get back to that. Okay, so